Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, or welcome if you are new to my channel. Glad to have you here. So today we're gonna take a look at another movie review as part of my overall summer horror DVD movie review series, and we're gonna jump into the world of aquatic horror and survival horror with one of my uh, favorite shark movies. Now I can say that after two watches, and that is from 2010, the Australian horror film The Reef. Yeah. So I saw this movie, I believe on Shutter, Netflix. I can never remember which one. I stream movies from both. Probably about, I don't know if it was a year ago, it's sometime in the last year. And again, I remember liking it and then being able to find a DVD for fairly cheap. Um, and I like it even more on upon the second watch here. It's just kind of it's a weird movie. It's very engaging. Well, let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm already giving my review before I tell you what the movie's about. Obviously, it's about a shark. The Reef is a 2010 Australian survival horror film, written, directed, and produced by Andrew Traki, and it's in his second feature film, the first being Black Water. The film is about a group of friends who capsize while sailing to Indonesia and are stalked by a great white shark as they try to swim to a nearby island. So yeah, it's a pretty simple premise, but so Luke is delivering a yacht to a customer in Indonesia and invites his friend Matt's girlfriend, to join them as he sails there along with Matt's sister Kate and fellow sailor Warren. To get to Indonesia, they must sail through a coral reef. On the second day of the journey, the yacht strikes part of the reef and capsizes when the keat is destroyed, allowing water in. With the current taking them further away from land, Luke gathers supplies from the overturned vessel with the intention of swimming to nearby Turtle Island. With the group gathered on top the overturned hull, Warren activates the yacht's EPIRB, but Luke informs them that it's an older model that requires a plane to fly overhead to receive the signal. When Luke suggests the others join him in swimming to the island, which he estimates to be about 12 miles away, Warren refuses as he believes the water is shark infested. With encouragement, Susie and Matt follow Luke into the water as he begins the journey. Katia also initially refuses, but changes her mind shortly after and comes with the group, leaving Warren alone on the overturned boat. So yeah, that's the setup and the premise for the Reef. As far as the cast goes, we have Damian Walsh Howling as Luke, Zoe Naylor as Kate, Adrian Pickering as Susie, Guyton Grantley as Matt, and Kieran Darcy Smith as Warren. So yeah, that's to set up the premise and the cast for the 2010 Australian survival horror film The Reef. Like I said, I love this movie. To me, there's a lot of shark movies that have been made over the years. There's only one all-time great one, which of course is the original Jaws from 1975. That's going to be at the top of any shark list. And then there's just a whole bunch that are kind of cluttered underneath. Some really bad ones, some fairly decent ones like 47 meters down, although I think I like this one a bit more than 47 meters down. That one was more stylish and, a little bit higher budget. This one feels more realistic, and there's a reason for that. This was based on true events, actually, which only adds to the lore of this movie. There's some other ones I have to see yet that I have in my collection, like Open Water and The Shallows and some other ones like that. But I really love The Reef. It's probably my second favorite shark movie, at least at this point in time. So let's just go ahead and get into why I like this movie so much. You got to start with the fact that there's no CGI here. They use a real shark and real stock shark footage underwater, which makes this movie very grounded in reality. No fake CGI. I like and appreciate that on one level, and also adds a lot of realism and returns the fear to the ocean water once again. Which I don't know about you, but a lot of shark movies that I've seen over the last 20 or 30 years, there's not really a lot of fear there. It's always been style over substance and trying to show how big the shark can be, how many teeth they can show, how these jumping shark scares, which don't really scare you at all. This movie kind of, like I said, I'm not going to put it on the same level as Jaws, but it kind of brings that fear and tension back to a shark movie that I haven't seen for a long time. So, That's the first thing that I really like about the movie. It has some fantastic underwater camera work and fantastic underwater shots, where one of our characters has these goggles and he's constantly looking, yeah, putting them on and looking under the water and kind of looking into the abyss to see if, we don't to see if anything's going to jump out or anything is down there. It's They know there's stuff down there. It's just a matter of when it's going to circle him, when it's going to show up when he's looking. And it's hard to explain without watching the movie, but just those views, those underwater shots are very well done, and it really ratchets up the tension. Um, the camera works amazing because it shows the shark coming towards them up close, coming towards the camera, as well as getting good views of the other stunning underwater life, whether it be coral reefs or plant life, other animal life, fish. There's lots of schools of fish. It just looks fantastic with great underwater camera work. So that really stood out to me. I have to say, I think the acting is really quite good here too, which definitely separates it from a lot of the other shark movies. Um, the entire cast, which isn't very large, there's five people in the entire cast, the main cast, that does a great job here, especially Damian Walsh Howling as Luke and Zoe Naylor as Kate, who are basically our two main characters of all of them. Um, they have a they have a past together, but they delve just the right amount into it. They give us enough to know that they have a past and they like each other. Obviously, there's moments that they try to rekindle that and talk about it, but they don't overdo it to where it takes away from why we show up here for a shark movie like this. It's just the right amount while giving those characters enough depth where we care about them and whether or not they survive throughout the course of this movie. Um, so that's really good. So yeah, acting wise, definitely this movie stands apart from a lot of the other shark movies in that regard. And speaking of the characters, I actually cared about these people and fearing for their lives, hoping they get to safety. As I said, we get just the right amount of background and development and good chemistry between them that works, not just between Luke and Kate, as I've mentioned, but really all of them, all five of them have, you know, they're just very grounded characters, which makes sense and it works for this movie because it's based on true events and there's a good chemistry and realism to these characters here that you don't get in a lot of other shark movies. You don't feel like these are actors trying to portray characters. You just feel like you're watching these actual characters, and that's the highest compliment you can give to character writing and acting. So, yeah, I really cared about these people. I was totally invested in their safety, and engaged in the movie throughout. The fact that these characters spend like half the movie swimming in the ocean, out in the middle of nowhere, by the way, isolated, for a realistic reason, by the way, which has to be mentioned as well. They're not just doing it for sport or something. They're doing it because their boat capsized. It's on its way to sinking to the bottom of the ocean where they're already screwed. So they basically have to swim. They're going to be swimming in this island for good reason. Making them exposed, obviously, to anything and everything that's underneath of them. This makes the movie so suspenseful and builds the tension so well. I think that's another thing we just haven't seen in a lot of shark movies over the last 30 years or so. You really have to go back to the original Jaws. 47 meters down does it pretty decent to a certain degree, but I felt it even more in this movie. And as I said, I haven't seen all of them, so I can only compare to what I've seen. But just that setting and where the position that these characters are in, for days, not knowing what's underneath them. And the fact that the other thing this movie does brilliantly that a lot of shark movies just don't get is they don't show the shark that much. A lot of these shark movies think that you got to show the shark as much as possible. You got to have them appear and jump out and have the big gore and blood effects. And this movie does have some blood and gore in the water kind of kills in it, so it's not completely bloodless, but it's not about that. This movie gets back to about creating tension, and as a viewer, you're basically put in these characters' shoes or flippers as they were. Um, that hasn't happened since I watched Jaws. Frankly, it just hasn't. So this movie gets it right in showing that less is more. Um, So it does that, and as a result, this movie is very effective because of those things. The building of tension through not showing the shark that much, but showing these characters being exposed and in the water. We know there's sharks in there and a lot of other stuff. Um, it's more about what you don't see than what they actually try to show you, which a lot of shark movies do. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Overall, I just think this is a very thrilling and well acted movie that looks amazing, amazing cinematography, directing, and gets the most it can out of a fairly low budget too. That has to be mentioned. I find it to be a very engaging and entertaining shark survival horror movie. So yeah, those are my pros for the Reef. As far as cons go, these are kind of nitpicky. I really only have two. There's one very poor decision that's made, a character flaw. Wait a minute. Yeah, there's one very poor decision made at the end of the movie where Luke, our main character, goes back for a floaty board. That doesn't really make a lot of sense for a couple of different reasons. One, earlier in the movie, he witnessed another character do the same thing, try to go for a floaty board that was floating off on its own, and that doesn't end particularly well for him. And two, he's been swimming mostly without a board for a couple of days because they only have one board that they cut in half, so there's two floaty boards, and I think it's mostly the two women that are floating on them. So he's not even using one. So why does he need one at this point when he can actually see this rock island structure that they're trying to get to like 150 meters away? I just thought it was a big logic flaw as well as a poor character decision. Now, I know they probably did it for more dramatic emphasis, and maybe they realized, maybe they read that it was part of the true story. I don't know how anybody would know that unless you're one of these characters. Or I guess there was. Well, I don't want to tell you who survives and who doesn't, but um, I don't know. That just kind of bugged me. It's like, why would you do that when you've already witnessed it not ending well, and you're so close to the island? I don't know. That's just me, maybe, but I thought it was a flaw. The characters fall asleep a bit too easily at night too. There's a couple nights where they're in the water and it gets dark, and they end up falling asleep with no problem. Meanwhile, like a few hours before that in the daylight, you got the shark circling them. And a few hours like after they wake up in the morning, the shark starts circling them. Are we to believe that the shark just went off and left them alone so they could sleep at night? How is it that the shark doesn't go after him in the dark? So that just felt a little weird for me with all the tension and our characters being realistic and their fear and kind of freaking out when they hear there's a shark around, but then they're able to easily fall asleep in the water at night on these boards. I don't know. It's weird to me. But again, those are pretty nitpicky flaws. I really don't have any big like technical flaws or anything with this movie. Um, I love this as a shark movie. I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. I think it does a great job with a simple premise, but very, very engaging, very suspenseful. It's a shark movie done right, frankly, and it's based on true events, which makes it all the more scarier. I was definitely on the edge of my seat watching it. That doesn't always happen when I watch horror movies. So 8.5 out of 10 for The Reef. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen this movie. If you haven't, I would recommend seeing it at least like it's a good summer watch. Or really, I mean, I'll watch it anytime, but it's a good time of the year to watch it. Comment down below though if you've seen it, what you think of it. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this series or any of my great horror content coming out throughout the rest of the year overall. So, with that being said, I hope you guys are enjoying this review series, this summer horror movie series, and you're doing well. But as always, of course, stay scared. Bye.